Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Thursday, December 28th, 2023, the last Thursday of 2023. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about because we have some changing data, we have some thoughts on stratosphere, and we have people running around using the CFS and driving me insane. So this is going to be a public service announcement. Do not use the CFS. Now, what is the CFS? It is the Climate Forecast System Model, okay? The key word there should be climate, as in very large scale. You do not use the CFS for storm forecasting at all in any way, shape, or form. You can use it for the general theme of the pattern. You could use it as, hey, where is there most likely going to be below normal heights, above normal heights? And a lot of people are using a lot of public sources like Pivotal Weather, which is an excellent website, and Tropical Tidbits. That's great, okay? Here's the thing. The reason why you don't want to use a model like the CFS for synoptic scale forecasting or forecasting of storms 7 to 10 days out or 10 to 15 days out is because the CFS is like a sledgehammer and you're trying to put in a little nail. And so when you're using the CFS, you essentially just take out half your wall. Okay. So you're using a sledgehammer to nail in a nail. And in some cases where some people are even using the CFS for mesoscale, that's like using the sledgehammer to nail in a tack, right? So you use the models for the correct question, right? So the models are your tools, not a crystal ball. So the reason why I'm making this announcement is because I'm seeing this way too much on social media. You never want to use the CFS to highlight any storm potential. You just kind of want to look at the general terms of the pattern, right? Like, okay, so the CFS shows me that the pattern will generally be stormy and that we'll have a ridge building over Greenland. Okay, so that is, gee, we're going to work on this wall. Okay, we're going to put a hole on this wall. Not, I want to put up a picture of my family, so I'm going to use a sledgehammer to nail in the nail for that picture frame, right? You don't use that, right? So that is why I'm making it very clear. Do not use the CFS for specific winter storms or any storms, rainstorms, hurricanes, whatever. You don't use it for that. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the right models you should use. These are synoptic scale models, synoptic and mesoscale. So you can use the European, you can use the EPS, which is the European ensembles. You can use the Canadian guidance, you can use the GFS. You can use a lot of these GFS ensembles. You can use the CMC, the Korean. Yes, we have a Korean. We have a UK Met from the UK, Icon, various zones. So these are synoptic scale models. These models are your regular hammer that you could use to nail your picture frame up. So, and it won't take out your entire wall and produce crazy solutions. So, and then if you're looking for mesoscale, well, that's when you start using your NAM guidance, your RAP guidance, your let's see, you could use the HREF. You could use a variety of different models for that. HRR is a great one. So you see, you use the right model for the questions you're trying to answer, right? So we're all in agreement. CFS is a wonderful model to use for long range forecasting, for seasonal forecasting, not for storm forecasting. Okay, it's the wrong solution. Talking about models, let's talk about the polar vortex. Now, there has been the past couple of days, actually almost a week now, a lot of debate as to whether or not the polar vortex would go into the reversal. And right now, the model guidance is backing away from that. So what does that mean? Okay, so first of all, reversal is a extreme solution. It's a solution where basically what you end up with is just obliterating the polar vortex and all the Arctic air that you have in Siberia and the North Pole and hanging out with Santa Claus, that all drops down towards the mid Atlantic and down towards the mid latitude, should I say. And you end up with widespread, well below freezing, well below normal temperatures throughout much of the mid latitudes. It's the unicorn of meteorology, especially for winter storm lovers. But it also can have a nasty backlash because, well, sometimes it becomes so robust, the blocking becomes so strong that it suppresses the storm track, and basically it snows in Georgia while the northern mid-Atlantic is just cold and dry, which I think if that happened, probably a lot of snow lovers and snowplow operators around here would absolutely lose their mind. But what we have here is still pretty impressive. See, the polar vortex is expected to go from basically, this is average, and basically go to sustain well below average, very weak, and then remaining weak all the way through February. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that we're going to get temperature sustained in the 20s and 30s and well below normal temperatures? No. It does mean we'll get waves of that, and we'll get a very active stormy pattern, and one that is going to be featuring high latitude blocking. Does that mean, though, that, New York City and Philadelphia are going to start seeing temperatures holding in the teens and 20s? No, not sustained, maybe a day or two, maybe a couple days. We could get an Arctic blast out of this, absolutely. But we basically removed, based on this shift here, the support for a sustained, well below normal, suppressed storm track scenario. We also, just to be clear here, are in no way support of a strong polar vortex. Now, a strong polar vortex would basically pull all of your polar and Arctic air uh, into Canada and keeping it there. And there's no push south whatsoever, any cold air. The subtropical jet stream starts to lift northward and cuts through, let's say, the mid-Atlantic states and possibly up to the Great Lakes, and you just get a warm, wet weather pattern. What we have here instead is basically a support for a weak polar vortex. Now, what does that look like? Well, first of all, in terms of the temperatures and the stratosphere, there is no doubt here we have a major stratospheric warming event. Okay, it's just not a wind reversal. It's not a complete destruction, but plenty of stratospheric warming. What does that look like in terms of the heights? Well, it means you go with basically a stretch polar vortex and you start to end up with this scenario. And if you say, Stephen, this is just the European, fair, let's take a look at the GFS. And it's basically showing the same thing. And so what we're seeing here is plenty of support for disruption of the polar vortex, stretching of the polar vortex, and the transport of more polar and Arctic air masses down towards the mid latitudes. Just not for 10 weeks. Okay, it's going to be in waves. And what this looks like in terms of the ensemble guidance is basically a very nice match of agreement. And so again, here is your transport of all your polar Arctic air southward. And what this means at 500 millibars on the model guidance is something that, I don't think anyone's going to really say, oh my God, this is horrible if you are a winter weather enthusiast. Again, I hold no guarantees. I never have, and I never will say, hey, look, you will definitely get 2 feet of snow in your backyard. But let's put it this way. What's evolving is certainly better than what we've seen in the past 4 years. So what we're seeing here is, again, just getting out to let's go back to day 5. What do we have here for day 5? Very active subtropical jet stream and amplifying polar jet stream. Day 7, very active subtropical jet stream. Look at it, storm after storm, just marching on through, and an increasingly amplified polar jet stream with our polar vortex dropping south. And look at that building ridge through Greenland and up through the West Coast here. So again, I'm keeping my eyes out here for around January 4th and 5th for some mischief here. So again, nothing locked in, but I mean, definitely keeping an eye on this period with that storm potential. And then let's go 10 days out, still an active subtropical jet stream. Our polar jet stream is amplifying even more. There is our nice block setting up. This is what you want to see. And then you see how this interacts. Again, does this guarantee you a winter storm? No, nothing guarantees you a winter storm. If you've been following the weather most of your life, you know that winter storms and the evolution of them, and when we get a string of winter storms, it is a thing of beauty or heartache, depending on the impacts, because everything has to fall in it just the right way. So again, 10 days out, I certainly like this. Is better than what we've seen in 4 years. And then as we move to 15 days out, the thing that really stands out to me is like, hey, this block isn't breaking down, it's getting stronger. And so what you end up with is this broad polar trough with the ridge building up here, and you get continuation of active subtropical jet stream. And so you play your hand based on what you have here. And this is certainly, again, better than what we've seen in 4 years. So I'm not sure why there's any type of hysteria out there. But just so we are clear about this, the winter forecast, which you can find still up publicly, which you can read at any time publicly and on the premium dashboards. You can check it out there. I'm keeping it up there all through the winter, so that way we both keep honest. The forecast never was for well below normal temperatures for the northern mid-Atlantic. Typical El Nino with above normal temperatures here in the northern plains, near normal with below normal precipitation for New England. So I'm sorry, you guys up in Boston, the forecast never was for above normal snowfall for you guys up here in Boston. But down towards the mid-Atlantic, this area right here, this is where, well, our storm track could get pretty funky because the cold air will be pressing south. Our active storm track will continue. And we've been seeing quite a bit of East Coast cyclogenesis right around here, haven't we? Even when it's been unfavorable, and we would suggest that a storm track would be up towards the Great Lakes, we continue to see secondary low pressure systems intensify and take over pretty vigorously around this area, but it has essentially been an unfavorable pattern as we expected for December. Now we're moving into January and February with this type of setup. I like my chances, but we'll see. We'll see exactly what is evolving here, but I certainly like my chances better. In the meantime, we have rain leaving the region. We have some scattered showers here. The steady heavy rains moving out. Anywhere between an inch or 2 inches have been generally reported, with temperatures ranging from the upper 40s to lower 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 50s along the coast, with winds coming in from the north-northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour, and from the north over the interior around 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we are watching this low pressure system exit, this is from a weather tap with our surface map and radar. The heavy steady rain is pushing off towards New England. Our low pressure system starting to pull away. Again, this was the primary. Now this one is. A couple of days ago, this primary low was supposed to be up here, and we were supposed to be in the 60s. And basically, we're in the 50s, maritime air mass. Not exactly cold, of course. Where is the cold air? Well, let's take a look at 850 millibars. Cold air is hanging back with our old upper level low, and it's starting to transfer gradually towards the coast, but it's taking some time. And why are we seeing this? Well, let's take a look at our satellite pictures. And you can see on the infrared satellite picture, we have this area of lifting here with our cold front, but you can see the circulation back here at this upper level low, right? So your strongest lifting is pushing off to the northeast and starting to push off the coast, but you still have this upper level low hanging back here. Take a look at the water vapor satellite picture. It shows up even more nicely. So what we have here is a positively tilted trough, and it's delaying the cold air transport towards the coast. So today, we remain generally mild. But as we move forward over the next couple of days, that cold air will slowly bleed in. So the interior is going to be much colder than the coast because we're going to have this slow gradient of polar air pushing towards the northern mid Atlantic. And so you can see this in our upper level winds. This upper level low that has been caught in between the subtropical and polar jet stream starts to merge with the polar jet stream. You get this positively tilted influence with the cold air transport slowly pushing towards the coast, and our subtropical jet stream continuing to remain very active, transporting plenty of moisture northward. So that's where we are now. As we move forward over the next couple of days, we'll have a series of little shortwaves moving through, pesky little shortwaves, nothing too crazy. And in fact, by the time we get to New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we have a nice little shortwave ridge passing over. So that's going to lead to generally tranquil conditions for New Year's Eve. So if you're heading out, not to worry, should be pretty quiet. But then we move into our new pattern for January. And what I am keeping an eye on is how these short waves interact with the short waves up here. And I'm warning you that, look, I have no idea at this time exactly how these short waves are going to interact. Because when I take a look at this and I see this, I see a lot of potential of possibly a inverted trough here. If this is a little faster, possibly some interaction, maybe a phase. So there is a lot to work out here in this scenario for next Friday. Okay, so right now in this setup, the subtropical jet stream is moving a little bit too fast. You have your storm out here, but you start to get some interaction. And the GFS is kind of hinting at some of this. Some of the European ensembles is hinting at this. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. And then depending on what happens with this, then we have to watch out with this shortwave and this shortwave up here. So the parade of shortwaves are starting. The interaction with the polar jet stream is starting. And we have to keep on our toes and not let our guard down. In the meantime, we'll get these waves of polar air coming in, wave after wave coming in and leaving and rotating on through. And what you can see if you zoom out here is the gradual shift of all that polar and Arctic air that's been locked up in the North Pole, gradually pushing further and further south. It comes in waves. It's much like looking at high tide. You'll get that one wave come in, it hits your castle, kind of backs off a little bit, but then the next wave gets a little bit closer, a little bit stronger, and it keeps on getting stronger and stronger as we reach high tide. And ladies and gentlemen, unlike at the start of December, we end December and push into January with a bona fide Arctic air mass in Canada ready to get pulled south. All you need is a trigger. So, with that, let's take a look at our forecast going forward. So for today, our showers continue to linger around the region. Temperatures basically holding in the upper 40s to lower 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 50s along the coast. For tonight into tomorrow morning, lingering showers hanging around. Could be a little bit of fog too. Temperatures are going to be falling off into the upper 20s to mid 30s over the northern interior and upper 30s to mid 40s along the coast. Again, there is that thermal gradient as the cold air slowly builds south. For tomorrow, look for sky cloud cover with a few pesky showers. Nice thermal gradient once again. Temperatures ranging from the upper 30s to mid 40s over the northern interior, upper 40s to lower 50s along the coast. On Saturday, again, pesky rain and snow showers will be a threat with variable cloud cover. Look for low temperatures ranging from the mid 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior and up mid 30s to lower 40s along the coast for lows. High temperatures will range from the mid 30s to lower 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s along the coast. Again, that gradual bleeding of the cold air. It will continue. On Sunday, New Year's Eve, look for scattered cloud cover around the region. Look for low temperatures to range from the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to mid 40s along the coast. New Year's Eve, if you're heading out to Times Square or just heading out in general, look for sky cloud cover with temperatures in the 20s and 30s. So you definitely want to bundle up. For New Year's Day morning, look for a scattered cloud cover with a few flurries here and there. Temperatures will fall off into the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, lower to mid 30s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. On Tuesday, one low pressure system developing over the coastal waters looks like that's going to get pushed out. Look for a sky cloud cover with temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 20s for lows and high temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. And on Wednesday, tranquil conditions are expected with low temperatures in the mid to upper 20s and high temperatures in the lower to mid 40s. On Thursday, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. Look for increasing cloud cover with low temperatures in the upper 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior, lower to mid 30s along the coast, high temperatures in the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, lower to mid 40s along the coast. And then for next Friday, we'll see what evolves here. You see, the difference we see on the model guidance here is that this low pressure system stays separate from this low pressure system. It's a subtropical polar. In some guidance, this interacts somewhat, and we kind of get this build back, this inverted trough with cold air bleeding towards the coast, and you get some precipitation mixing in here with rain and snow on the coast and some snow over the interior, but not a major storm. In other guidance, you start to get a more of an interaction where the polar air bleeds into the behind the storm gets pulled closer to the coast and slows down, and we get some wintry mix, maybe rain to snow, maybe rain on the coast and snow over the interior, or all snow, just a wide variety of solutions. Or it just remains like this and stays separate and heads out, and we miss a chance on this one. So again, a lot of volatility out there, a lot of activity. Keep an eye on it. Of course, I will. And for the love of God, please don't use the CFS. That's it for today. Have a wonderful day. And as always, stay safe out there.